Hi everyone, I am Paula Sebes from Ateneo de Zamboanga University, Mathematics Department, College of Science and Information Technology. Today, we will be talking about one sample t-test. How are we going to use your data using the Microsoft Excel? Well, let us try to consider the hypothetical example that we have here. So this is all about the salary of the employees in Zamboanga City. They're actually government employees. Now, there are informations here that these informations are actually needed in computing our one sample t-test. Okay, this is the setback of the one sample t-test because we don't have a default formulas in the Microsoft Excel. So we are going to do this one by one according to the formulas that we have for the t-test. Now, we are going to find out the sample size of the data. What we're going to do here, we are going to uh, type equal and then count and then highlight the salary. Then close, enter. Okay, so there are 41 samples here. So next, okay, so if you're going to click this, um, we have from F2 to F42. We are also going to do this to standard deviation. Okay, the standard deviation or the sample standard deviation from F2 up to F42. And then the standard deviation here is 34,987.59. Then we can now compute for the standard error of the mean. Type equal. We are going to click the standard deviation according to the formula all over the square root of the sample size. So the standard deviation divided by the square root of the sample size. And then enter, we have 5,464.14. By this time, we can now compute for the sample mean of the data. So we have now type equal and then type average. And from F2 until to F42. Okay, the sample mean here is 41,002 and 90 centavos. What is our hypothesized mean? According to the payscale.com, that the population mean salary of the government employee is 28,250. Okay, we have 28,250. So this is our hypothesized mean. And after that, we are going to compute the t-test. So type equal, open parenthesis, click the sample mean minus the hypothesized mean divided by the standard error of the mean, which is 5,464.14, and then enter. So our t-statistic or the computed t-test is 2.33. The degree of freedom is actually the size of the sample is 41 minus 1. The degree of freedom is 40. Since that we already have our degree of freedom and the computed t-test, we can now compute for the p-value. This is very essential for the result of the p-value, since that we are going to compare this to the alpha. Okay, quality, p-distribution, and then open parenthesis. The x here is actually the t-statistics. Click it, comma. The degree of freedom is 40, comma, and we have two tails since we do not know the information. So in Zamboanga City is greater than or less than compared to the population. We do not know that. So for the sake, is we are going to use the two-tailed distribution. Close parenthesis, enter. You notice that the p-value here is 0.0247. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we are going to write our null hypothesis here. There is no significant difference in the salary of the employees and the population mean salary. Then, our alternative hypothesis, there is a significant difference on the salary of the employees and the population mean salary. And we are going to set up our alpha. Our alpha here is 5%, two-tailed. Since this is two-tailed, we divide alpha into 2. Alpha over 2 is equal to 2.5% or 0.025. Let us now check what are the conditions for us to accept the null hypothesis or accept the alternative hypothesis. So at first, if the p-value is greater than the alpha, then you fail to reject the null hypothesis and accept the null hypothesis. So the p-value here is greater than alpha over 2. If the p-value is less than the alpha, then you reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative hypothesis. So the p-value is less than alpha. So we notice that the p-value is less than the alpha. If you are going to write this, the p-value is 0.0247 and the alpha over 2 is 0.025. So we say that the p-value is less than alpha over 2. So what are we going to do? Our conclusion here, since the p-value is less than alpha over 2, then reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative hypothesis. Therefore, there is a significant difference in the salaries of the employees and the population mean salary. This also means that the salary of the given data is significantly higher than the population mean salary. Because if you're going to compare the mean of the sample mean is 41,000 and the hypothesis mean is 28,250. You notice that the sample mean is greater than the hypothesized mean. Okay, so there you are. So this is how we compute for the one sample t-test, and this is how we write the steps of the hypothesis testing. You are going to write first the null hypothesis and then the alternative hypothesis. You are going to decide what type of alpha you are going to use, if that is 5%, 1%. And then the conditions are, if the p-value is greater than the alpha, then you fail to reject the null hypothesis and accept the null hypothesis. If the p-value is less than the alpha, then you reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative hypothesis. So this is very important for us to decide and to give conclusions of our data. Okay, so hopefully you learn many things from here, and see you next for our next presentation of my movie. Thank you and see you next.